Hi there. My name is Laurelann Porter, and I'm a shamanic artist, and I am so happy to share with you a little bit about what is shamanic artistry, and how you might be able to call in some of that of your own flavor into your own life. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about how this came about for me before I get into how to do it. So, first of all, I am a musician. I'm a singer. I've been a singer my whole life. I grew up singing with my family. It was one of those age-old stories where I was singing in church with the family every Sunday. And almost everyone in my family has been some sort of professional musician at some point or another. And so it's in my bones. But I also want to encourage you to just dig into your memories and try to recall what were the things that you did as a child that were creative? What were the things that your family did together? Did you dance? Did you sing? Did you play an instrument? Did you bake together? Did you garden together? Did you do some other creative activity? When I was a small child, I really loved blocks. I had these old wooden blocks, and I just loved building things. And so if you're a maker, if you like crafting things, that is also a form of creativity. So what I want us to kind of imagine as we're working through this is just think about what are the kinds of creativity that really delight you, because those are probably going to be the key to taking you where you want to go. So the way this all came about for me was when I started on this path of the medicine path of the shamanic way. I was doing several different varieties of healing modalities all at the same time. I was really, it was after 2020 when I had my crisis. I imagine almost everyone else had some form of a crisis or another. And I was really just looking for as many different kinds of ways to heal myself from the inside out. And one of the modalities that I came in contact with was ancestral healing. And I've been working with this practitioner who does ancestral lineage repair. And one of the first sessions, I received a message from my ancestors, and it was a very simple message. It just said, "Don't forget to sing." And I thought, oh, okay. I just assumed that meant, just like in a church session, you might have an opening song and a closing song, and that is very pleasing to the sacred elements to have music. I didn't really think much more of it besides that. But I filed it away in the back of my head as something to always remember to do. Don't forget to sing. And when I got that message, as I was developing my practice in shamanic energy medicine, I started to begin just sort of vocalizing in my sessions and kind of singing for my clients while I was working on them. And everybody was like, "Oh, keep doing that. That's really great. The music, the vibrations, they really help the healing to deepen and to integrate into our energetic system." So great. I just kept singing, just like my ancestors told me to. And then something happened even more profoundly the very first time I did ayahuasca. And I had been preparing for the journey. I knew I wanted to, and I had been looking for the right opportunity. And so when I knew this opportunity was coming up, I did, my standard spiritual cleanse, where for a few weeks I eat very cleanly, high vibration diet of, plant-based, organic, mostly greens. And then also just minding my other diets, like media diet. What are the things that you're taking into your mind and heart and soul? And so I was really kind of preparing myself for that. And the person that had invited me to the ceremony was a musician that I had collaborated with, and he invited me to also sing. And when the ayahuasca ceremony was over, and when it was sunrise, around the fire. We had been sitting around the fire all night long, and it was sunrise. And he grabbed my hand and he pulled me over and he said, "Okay, we're going to sing now." And I sang Nina Simone's "Feeling Good." And as I was singing, the shaman who had led the ayahuasca ceremony, he looked at me like something really strange was going on. And I didn't really think much of it, but he told my friend later that he said, I don't know what happened when she sang, but she touched something in me that I didn't know existed. And then another situation happened where I sang, again, it was at the end of an ayahuasca ceremony, and this woman looked at me and she said, you just opened a healing portal and helped me with some, something that she'd been working on for a while. And then someone else was like, oh, when you sing, you bring down the angels with you to sing. So then I started getting this better, bigger picture about how my music and my voice and my singing is part of my medicine. And what happened after that first ayahuasca ceremony, because he also did a practice that I like to call the birdsong medicine, and it's something that is specific to his indigenous tribe in the Amazon rainforest basin. And in this birdsong medicine, because the bird that is sort of the totem of their tribe is a bird that happens to be very, very good at learning the songs of every other bird that it encounters. And so what they do in this ceremony is they really draw down your ability to channel, to become your own song, to bring your song into the world. Excuse me. And what happened after that, as I have a little hiccup in my throat chakra, what happened after that is that I began writing music so prolifically. There was a certain point where I was writing a new song every day. And this was basically the source of my 2023 album, Soul Journeying, and at the end of this, I'm going to share one of those songs with you. So, and then one other little tidbit that really helped me understand even more deeply how my voice is part of my medicine. I was hanging out with someone who we had encountered each other, here and there, and it wasn't until we had known each other for several months that she went and saw me sing, and she said, "Oh, I get it. I understand now why everybody talks about your voice. When you sing in the frequency of love." And I had never really heard that before, and I thought about it, and I thought, oh, of course I do. Of course I sing in the frequency of love. I love singing. Singing is it's like medicine to me, and so when I sing, I just love it so much that it comes through as the frequency of love. So what shamanic artistry is, as I define it, is being able to be a channel for divinely sourced creativity. For me, it's songs. For me, it's divinely sourced music, which is healing songs for myself and healing songs for my community. But it might be that your version of shamanic artistry might be divinely channeled paintings, or divinely channeled poetry, or divinely channeled, some other, whatever is your creative practice. If you would like to develop your own shamanic artistry, it's best to really just take a look at what are the things that you already love doing that stimulate your creative muscles, because that's probably going to be where the secret sauce is at for you. So, how did I do this? How did I learn to do this? Essentially what I began to figure out how to do, and I don't even really know how I just came up with this idea, but I decided that I was going to do a shamanic healing on myself and see what happened. And the very first time I did that, instantly a new song came through. The lyrics first, and then the song came very, very shortly thereafter. And then that kept happening, and it kept happening. And it was... it started to actually get almost overwhelming, right? Because I think at this point I had been doing this for several months, and so I had, I think, like 7 or 8 brand new healing songs. And there's only so much healing you can do on yourself before you sort of reach a bit of okay, you have to take a pause, you have to really integrate all the healing that you've done. And if you're just sort of going and going and going, you can end up in a sort of... it might be an upward spiral, but if it's chaotic and you don't have time to really consciously draw that down into your system, then it can just be, constant chaos. So then one morning, I asked Spirit, can I do a healing for my community and channel through a song for my community? And the response was a very clear yes. And so where I was living in this community of Itacaré, Bahia in Brazil, which is a community that has welcomed me so warmly and so lovingly every time I go. And so my heart and soul are there, and I love that community so deeply. And so this song was a song that I wrote for that community. And I'm not going to share that with you just yet because I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with me now, because I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I've been doing these healing practices, and then pretty much almost every single time a new song will come through, or at the very least, new lyrics for a possible someday song. So the current example that I'm experiencing right now is several months ago, I had sort of started to sense that I was falling into a bit of a funk, I was kind of getting bored with my daily practice, my daily meditations and the things that I do, which are sort of the non-negotiables, that when I first started walking this path, I was very diligent. I was doing everything every single day. I think it was partly because I was just so hungry for that healing and so hungry for that transformation. And so I had gotten to this point where things were starting to feel a little sloppy, things were starting to feel a little lax, and I was like, what can I do to rekindle my creative practice? And the message that came through was to make a quest out of it. And once that came through, it was so obvious that I almost couldn't believe that I didn't realize how to do that before. And so what I began doing is I began crafting for myself a quest. And the quest is actually one that I am modeling after my own training program, Butterfly Bootcamp, which is a spiritual mentoring program in Shamanic Artistry, where we train in the energy medicine of the Four Winds Society, which is the shamanism of the shamans of the Andes. Alberto Villoldo has done his own variations, and then I have also done my own variations, which to me is sort of the key. When you get comfortable enough with all the various modalities you've dabbled with, then you can start to really determine for yourself what is your special version of shamanic artistry. So the song that came through last week as the healing that I did on myself as part of this quest to how not to let my practice get boring, it ended up being a song about how to quiet the monkey mind. If you've heard that expression, you know that meditation helps us to do that. And if my meditation practice had been getting lax or sloppy, then the monkey mind was starting to come back in, where we get caught up in all of our thoughts and we don't take the time to really slow down and be present. And so the song became all about the monkey mind. But what I want to do for you, what I want to do for you now is I want to play for you one of the songs that came through when I first started doing this work of shamanic artistry, of healing myself and allowing a channel to come through. And this is, in particular, the song that I wrote for the community in Bahia. So what I'm going to do, some of it's in English, but most of it is in Portuguese, and so I'm going to put the translated lyrics on the screen for you while you're listening. And then I'll just tell you a little bit about how we can follow up together and how you might want to learn how to develop your own version of shamanic artistry. So let me get things ready. Let me pop over here and press play. Once we realize that we are always nourishing each other, even in death, once we come to that realization, the fear of death dissipates, and we are left with a desire to live life to the fullest potential. Se o amor é água, é potável ou não? Se meu amor é água, é potável ou não? Seu amor Deja aquecer ou destruir. Se sua paixão é fogo, vai aquecer ou destruir. Se minha paixão é fogo, vai aquecer ou destruir. Queima-me suavemente. Alquimia do fogo transforma em agente. O ar que se respira e a força e vontade. O ar que se respira e a força e vontade. O ar que eu respiro é a força e vontade. Respira-me bem profundamente. Minha força dá apoio à vontade da minha gente. Um dia acordei e não acordei. Daí me toquei que já morri naquele dia. Abri minha mente, dei uma olhada ao meu redor. De repente, vi onde tinha e não tinha os traços do meu amor. Daí me toquei que nunca realizei um sonho meu que já perdi no baú onde guardei. Vamos dar uma olhada agora ao nosso redor. Não fique imaginando que sua vida não importa. Cada dia em que se anda e respira nesse mundo é oportunidade de se fortalecer mais profundo. Ou amargura na sua boca pode até derreter. Se largar sua inveja, põe amor no seu lugar. Se largar seu medo, põe fé no seu lugar. I didn't realize that I would feed you in death just as I fed you in life. And that the seeds I planted in life would be either plants or weeds in death. And every time I poisoned the soil with envy or fear, I made it spoil. The bitter herbs came through galore, but the sweet orange blossoms grow no more. Vai achar o que se quer na busca, mas somente quem busca vai achar. Não vai achar o que se quer na busca, somente quem busca vai achar o que se quer. Sempre na busca, sempre na luta, sempre na busca, sempre na luta. Atrás da sua sombra e por baixo do mistério. Atrás da sua sombra e por baixo do mistério. A solo rico da terra com o amor da Pachamama. Entra no mistério, transforma sua luta numa jornada da alma. Sempre na luta, sempre na busca, sempre na luta, sempre na busca. So I also wanted to share just a little bit of my motivation for why I wanted to write that song and what was the sort of purpose behind it. And the night before I wrote that song, I had attended a local community event where there were several women from the community who were being honored for the work that they do to support the community, to help educate the community, to provide resources for the community. And so these are women who were really just doing the work of being leaders. And most of the time, those are the roles that are thankless. Very often people don't get thanked for doing the teaching and the counseling and the mentoring for, especially for young people in the community. Sometimes we just do that because we need to do it, and we don't worry about whether we're receiving gratitude or compensation or anything like that. And it kind of prompted me to really question, what is my position in that community? Because I'm an outsider, right? This is a community that is a small town in Bahia on the coast, and it has its own history. And even though I've been going there for, I think 15 or 20 years by now, even though I go there regularly and I kind of consider myself a community member, I consider it my home, I am still not native from there, and I'm still an outsider. And so it really kind of caused me to question, what is my role here? What is my purpose here? And how can I be supportive to the people that I care about in this community while not trying to impose myself and while not trying to impose my will? And so it really became a song that was a meditation about how to be present and supportive without trying to go in and be the rescuer, as let's get rid of our white savior complex if we can. So I just wanted to kind of give some context about what was the motivator for why that song came through, why I did the healing so that I could channel through a song for my community. And it really has to do with how we use the elements in our practice. So what I would like to invite you to do now is let's connect. I do have a program in shamanic artistry called Butterfly Bootcamp, and so if you're interested, I please encourage you to book a free discovery call as soon as possible. We do start at the beginning of October, and so there are still slots available. I do like to keep it at a, kind of a small, manageable size group. I don't like teaching really large groups. I really love the dynamics of a small group environment. So get at me. It's a totally no obligation call. And if you're curious and you just want to get a taste of this work to see if maybe it's right for you, I do have a workshop called the Widow Bride Workshop. And it just began in September 1st, but you can still register for it. Even if it's beyond when we've been meeting live, you can still receive benefits from that work. And it also includes kind of all of the most potent trainings that I offer in my various programs in creative grieving and in Butterfly Bootcamp and shamanic artistry. So reach out, let's connect, let's see what flavor of yours wants to be a shamanic artist. See you soon.